Product Day 2019.
I'm going to draw a drawing that I draw. I draw this all the time, and I'm tired of drawing it, but I'm going to keep drawing until I don't have to anymore. And I want to equate this to the underpants gnome scheme. Now, you may work for a product company, and you may be building products. It may feel like collecting underpants from time to time, but look, those products are built out of features and capabilities. And, well, all that stuff we refer to as our product requirements. Now, we want to turn this stuff into a product that we can ship. We worry about the time or how long that's going to take to ship. We worry about the cost, how much it's going to cost, and what we call all this stuff scope. Everybody worries about the time, cost, and scope thing. And for a lot of product managers, they're still in phase one. They're still collecting underpants. And there's a lot of pressure to collect more stuff faster. But what matters is what happens later after things can come out. What we hope is true is that we've got customers out there that see what we've done. We hope that they see our features, our capabilities. We hope that they see our product. We hope that they try it. We hope that they use it. We hope that they keep using it. And ideally, we hope that they say good things about it. Now, if we're building well, somewhere along here also we hope that they pay for it and keep paying. And if we build something for internal use or to support a bigger business process, we hope that they're more efficient or effective. Now, look, if all these people do this, then where we really want to feel it is back here in your organization, in our business. What we hope is true is that enough people use it and keep using it that we start to see these metrics go up. Your organization has a different responsibility. It needs to sustain itself. And if your organization is publicly held, or most organizations sort of commit themselves to growing quarter over quarter, and to do that, it's going to have to pay attention to revenue and cost. And, well, if enough people use our product and keep using our product, well, we'll get that ROI stuff, the stuff that matters to our organization. If enough people say good things, that's going to help our brand and brand awareness or brand sentiment. Well, net promoter score, things like that. And if enough people say good things and tell other people or keep using the product, that's going to help our market share. Now, look, if you ship something and a few people try to use it, that's awesome, but enough people have to do it so that we can feel it here. With lagging indicators, they happen after things happen. But these things, well, all these things, well, these are leading indicators. And the annoying thing about these things is that they're measured in these people's behavior. It's what they do, not what you do inside your building. In fact, you can't do these things. These are the unpredictable things. So, well, the key message here is that revenue is a lagging indicator. In fact, here's the big message, and when I tell you this, the talk is going to be more or less over. That's it. If you're responsible for a product, all you need to know is what people use your product for, and you kind of need to know how often you expect they'll do that. And once you know those two things, just measure that. That's it. Now, let me see if I can illustrate what I mean here. Look, Twitter gets used for a couple different things. I use Twitter, I tweet, that's the thing that I do, and I do that to share what I'm thinking. But I mostly do that kind of to market or let people know that I'm doing something that they should know about a class. that I might be attending, and sometimes I am thinking things that I want people to know about. But the other thing I use Twitter for is to see what everyone else is thinking. I follow and I listen to what people are saying. Now, look, those are two primary things that people do, and tweeting for me is something that I might do weekly. Following or paying attention to what people say, that's something I do several times a day, daily, and that's what I'd expect. Now, there's a little bit more to talk about here. There are differences in different types of users. For instance, if you live in my country and are burdened with our president, weekly is not the rate of tweeting for that kind of person. It's a lot higher frequency, but look, maybe typically for a typical user, the metric that I want to pay attention to is, tweets per user per week. It's got a nice ratio, and if I see tweets per user per week going down, then chances are that's going to be a problem. If I see people visiting and viewing their, let's say, the stream views per day. If I see stream views per day going down, chances are that's going to hurt my business. If I'm making money on advertising revenue, well, it's a lot less people coming, and ultimately, I'm going to eventually start to lose money from ad revenue. Recently, a friend of mine said, hey, I put classes out there on LinkedIn Learning, and I want to talk about LinkedIn Learning. And I've used a few online learning things, but I wanted to investigate LinkedIn Learning to see if I wanted to join it. So look, I searched, I got online, I searched for a class. In fact, I searched for his classes, and I looked at the details, like what were the classes about, and how many did he have, and were they in a series, and how long did they take? And then one of the things I was able to do was play an intro, and look, I'm not a LinkedIn Learning subscriber. Years ago, I had subscribed to Linda, before LinkedIn Learning, before LinkedIn bought that thing, and so I had to start over a little bit, and I said, okay, look, I want to see my friend's stuff, there's enough good content on here, and I chose to sign up. And well, then I started taking my friend's courses. I took a couple of his courses, listened to them while I was doing other things, and look, I could review my course details. Look, if I map, taking courses is the primary purpose of LinkedIn Learning, and knowing the rate that people take courses is super useful, but it's a little bit lagging. It took me hours or a day before I actually finished taking that first course, but just knowing that people showed up, searched for a class, and looked at details is a leading indicator to whether people are actually starting to use it for its intended purpose. If you're responsible for a product, you're going to have to unpack that using thing and go a little bit deeper. Now, I wanted you to see how that's done. In the context of teaching, I want people to be able to understand what their product does. If they can understand that, or understand what people using their product do in order to reach their goals, they can figure out what to measure, and every one of those things is a possible metric. I sort of drew a funnel in gray on here. If I look at this, people will often talk about a funnel because we know that we may lead a lot of people to our product. A lot of people might search for a class but never find anything that they want, and then they will fall out. So fewer people may review details, even fewer people may play an intro, even fewer people may sign up, and even fewer people may take a class. And it's a constricting thing. Now, the funnels that I saw never quite matched the experience I was used to thinking about, and they weren't the way I thought. And for years, funnels have bugged me. I need to show you why funnels bug me. And I even have a prop. I actually have an actual funnel here. And look, I've got, these are users here. And I want you to notice something about funnels. If a lot of people go into my funnel, notice that everybody that goes into the funnel ends up coming out the other end, although they may take a little shaking to get out. Now, that's not at all the way funnels actually work. this is a broken metaphor. Not everybody gets through a funnel, and your users won't all get through your product. They will fall out of the funnel, and well, no one falls out of that funnel. I want to talk about one of the basic funnel metrics. Well, the basic funnels I was taught, and I'm sick of that funnel metaphor, so I'm not going to use it. And in fact, I'm going to draw a mountain, and from now on, we're going to talk about metrics mountains. That's the metaphor I like best. Because if your product is a mountain that your users are going to scale, it takes some effort to get all the way from the beginning to the end. And you may have a bunch of users that pile up down here, and they've got to make a decision to start up that mountain. In fact, the decision, I'm going to call that acquisition. Well, that's from our perspective. That means they see our product, they found it, they investigated. Well, they made some moves like searching for a class and reviewing details and playing an intro. But at some point in time, they're going to make it a little bit farther up that mountain. If they get that far, if they've done a little bit of investigation, then they might start to, well, if they play an intro and sign up and actually take a course, I'm going to call that activation. That's when these people actually try it and actually use it. And for your product, you're going to have to decide, what does activation mean? What does actually using it mean? Now, what we hope is a lot of people activate, get up that far. But what we hope, or what LinkedIn Learning hopes, for instance, is that people make it up further. In fact, the sweet spot, or where we want people to get to, is retention. We want them to keep using our product. And LinkedIn Learning makes money if people make it up to this happy retention place and hang around a while. They keep searching for classes, they keep taking more courses, and more importantly, they keep paying their monthly subscription, and that's when we start to see revenue. Revenue comes from lots of people continue to use this product. And look, at the very top, we hope that they keep using the product, we hope that they like it, and more than anything, we hope that they scale to the top of this thing and they crow about it. They tell others. They make it look fun up here at the top because, well, it's these users at the bottom that get excited about seeing those people at the top. We hope that they say good things, and I'm going to call the very top of the mountain referral. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen this metrics funnel before. This comes from a guy named Dave McClure. Some of you may have seen videos or things describing this thing, and he refers to it as the pirate metrics funnel, or metrics for pirates. Now, it's called that because it spells what pirates say, A-R-R-R. Apparently, I've never met a pirate. I think that might be, most pirates might not appreciate that. I don't know if you know a pirate, but that's stereotyping pirates. I'm sure they'd be unhappy about that. But this is the least you can possibly do. For each feature you release, I want you to reflect on these two things. I'm going to draw a big 2x2 here. The first thing to pay attention to is the effort. How long did it actually take to release that feature? And if there's a continuum here that's about size, we might have things that took days or a week. In the middle, we might have things that took weeks, and towards the end, we might have things that took quarters. If after you release something, if every time you release that whole feature, just put it somewhere on that axis. Was it quick? Was it a bit more time consuming? Did it take a long time? And for extra credit, just put a mark on those things. If Well, if they took a lot longer than was expected. For instance, if I expected this thing would take, a few weeks, but it took a quarter or more, mark those things that took longer than you expected. You're going to learn something right away, that big things are usually the things that are challenged. Big things are usually the things that are a bit of a mess. We've learned that for a long time, but actually having a little data on it in your company is helpful. But the top to bottom axis, I'm going to call that outcome. And, well, things will rise from the bottom here. At the bottom is the don't know bucket. If you release something, it's going to start with don't know. All the way at the top is the awesome bucket. Awesome means you predicted how awesome that feature was, who would use it and how often, and, well, things ideally will rise to awesome. Well, just above don't know, I'm going to put the awful bucket. That's where we release it. No one used it, or they tried to use it and they complained that it was terrible, and some things may end up here in awful, but in the middle is this big no man's land I'm going to call the thud zone, and some things may rise up there. One of the things we don't do in a lot of traditional or agile style processes, for instance, is just to reflect on how things came out. Now, metrics are going to let you know a lot sooner how things came out, but at minimum you can do what I used to do, and that's just talk to customers and see where things land. If you start doing this, one of the things you're going to realize is there's an awful lot you don't know about. If you don't have metrics, you won't know unless people complain, and then it's going to end in awful or somewhere in there. If it's awesome, you might learn about it, but one of the other things you're going to find out is most things don't bubble all the way to the top to awesome. If you're in a company that doesn't have metrics, doing this might start to build a case for metrics. And this is where product management actually starts. When you know something about what happened here, you've got some choices to make. You can kill bad ideas. You can iterate or improve those bad ideas, or you can just, well, leave it. But watch out for that. There's an old saying that if you improve a product long enough, you'll eventually ruin it. And leaving a bunch of unused or crap features in a product for a long time, that's the way you eventually kill it. All right, let me wrap up here.
Thank you very much for joining, and really appreciate. You're a busy man, but you did actually give some time to the community, so thank you very much. For the rest of so I'm going to switch over to the other presentation, Jeff. So bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for